Rugby World Rankings, folks. After the second round of the Rugby Championship, we do have a couple of teams swapping places, and the All Blacks chasing down the French, although we have a week off in the competition now, so they won't be passing the French anytime soon. But we'll go through the kind of recent results and what that meant for the rankings, some upcoming tests and the permutations there, as well as we kind of lead on in to a Rugby World Cup. So Ireland and France still 1-2, and they contested the under-20s final as well. If you hadn't been keeping an eye on that one, the youth of both countries looks pretty good, but particularly those French, goodness gracious me, they got a lot of guys who could potentially take the step up from under-20s to professional rugby. It's always a big leap, but some of them will undoubtedly get it done. New Zealand are still in third with their win over the Springboks. Now, that late try meant the Springboks meant the All Blacks didn't get enough of a winning margin to go past the French. They are up to 90.32 from 89.69. It could have been more if they had a 16-point win, but that one measly point they didn't get means the All Blacks don't take maximum points from the Springboks, but they have closed the gap on France and kind of extended the gap between them and South Africa. South Africa's down to 88.34 after previously being on 88.97. So it is a wee bit of a drop and a wee bit of a rise, respectively, for those two teams. Scotland and England obviously not playing any games, are stable in 5th and 6th. But then Argentina, with their away win over Eddie Jones's Wallabies, are up into 7th spot. Australia down in 8th, threatening to go on to that side of my whiteboard, which is only one extra number. It's the same difference between 5th and 6th and 3rd and 4th, but there's just something about going to that side of the whiteboard which feels like a big drop, doesn't it? So that's where kind of Wales are sitting at the moment. So, yeah, Australia with that loss down from 81.80 to 80.32. They still got a chance to bounce back, but they do have the All Blacks coming to town in their next game. Wales, Japan, Georgia, Samoa, Fiji, Italy, Tonga, Portugal. That rounds out that side of the whiteboard. The teams who were in action recently, we did see Japan playing a non-test game against an All Blacks 15, which they got pretty well beaten. So their Rugby World Cup warm-ups have not started in kind of free-flowing fashion, but that's the reason we play these games, is to get the cohesion levels up and, to get the team playing the way the coaches want them. Also, a kind of star-studded Tonga side with a group of several, former All Blacks and some overseas-based players and whatnot, like a far cry from the team which got beaten by 100 points by the All Blacks during COVID, a bunch of former Wallabies and whatnot. They beaten Australia A side pretty well. It was a game played in Tonga for the first time in ages, so again, it's a non-test game, but they looked all right. So that Pool B looks like an absolute brutal one based on some of the stuff we have seen thus far. Otherwise, what else did we have on? The Black Ferns and Canadians beat the Americans and Australians collectively, respectively, in the old Pacific Fours. So New Zealand have gone unbeaten in that one. So congratulations to them. And we do have a couple of upcoming tests this weekend, despite the gap in the Rugby Championship games. Japan's hosting Samoa, and Fiji is hosting Tonga. Now look out, Wales, because if Japan beats Samoa by the bigger margin, which is 16 or more, if I'm not mistaken, they will pass Wales to send Wales down into that 10th spot. So despite Japan having a couple of losses, those were not test games, so it didn't count for nothing for Japan's world rankings. Fiji and Tonga should also be an interesting one, especially with Tonga, as I said, kind of coming off the back of that win over Aussie A, and then Fiji with Simon Rawalui in charge, replacing Vern Cotter. Kind of remains to be seen how they will go, but they got a Fijian in charge, which is pretty good news. The other couple of bits of things that could happen in the fortnight's time when we see the Rugby Championship get back underway. South Africa is only going to take really marginal points off Argentina if they win, because they are at home. Remember, 88, and these guys are at 81. You go South Africa +3 for a home game, so they're not going to take bugger all off Argentina if they win. But if Argentina can go 2 away wins on the trot, they could pass even Scotland. So it would be a rapid rise for Michael Cheika's men if Argentina could do that. Australia will go past Argentina if Argentina lose and Australia beat the All Blacks. And the All Blacks will pass France if they can head across the ditch and get a win over Eddie's boys. So there you go, folks. Those are your Rugby World Rankings. There's, as I said, a gap in the Rugby Championship this week. If you want something to watch in the meantime, check out 2 Cents on Tour. That's me in China going to places like a beer museum, wearing a Leinster rugby jersey and kind of getting bamboozled on my way there. Going to a church on a Sunday and getting invited to some stranger's house literally 30 seconds after meeting her. A bunch of random stuff happened. 2 Cents on Tour. It's my other channel. It's almost at 1,000 subscribers, but it is lagging behind slightly on watch time. New YouTube channels have to pass YouTube's restrictions on new channels to get like fully enabled. You need to get 1,000 subscribers and you need to get 4,000 hours watch time. It's almost at 1,000 subs, but it is still struggling for the watch time. It's like over 2,000 hours watch time, but still lagging behind that 4. So if you're interested, check out one of the videos. If it's rubbish, I will not begrudge you turning it off. But if it ends up being good and you watch it all the way through, then happy days. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm going to go. You guys take care of yourselves. Let me know your thoughts on the rankings. And yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.